So we're going to just take a period of time, maybe 15 minutes or so, to have some Q&A. In a short period of time, we kind of talked about lots of things. So I have a period of time to have some Q&A, and then Steve will take us out with a meditation before we go out into whatever it is you're doing after this. So any questions you have, we'll do our best to answer them for you.
If I walked out, could take a book with me today, what would you recommend?
When you walk out, and let's revisit that question when you walk out, because I want to see what's there. But I'm definitely happy to do that.
I don't really have a question.
Yeah, comments are fine. Any open space.
It was really what spoke to me, and then when you were talking was how that voice of, like, if I get off and I'm distracted by a noise or something, how I come back to that was really, like, I hadn't really thought about, like, I would just bring, in the past, I'd just bring myself back to it, and when you were talking, it's like, yeah, I realized how, like, I don't know, critical is kind of a strong word, but how, you know, like, get back. So it was really helpful to bring that attention to, for me anyway, to move back in with compassion and loving kindness. That was really helpful.
Yeah, because sometimes the coming back is very drill sergeant like. Get back to the, you know, like a very, and maybe not a strong critical, maybe not something that's really strong, but usually not that kind of a redirecting.
And you use the loving kindness. That's what really, it's like, okay, just, that's what really jumped out. It's like, I want to be loving kind. Treat myself that way, you know.
Yeah.
So that was really helpful. Thank you for that.
Thank you. I totally agree. Yeah.
Two things. I noticed such a difference from coming in and sitting and then walking and then sitting again in terms of my ability to be still. And I never thought about that before, because when I meditate, like you said, most people sit. And I don't know, it's sort of like the walking, because I love to walk, just as a form of exercise as well as it's very meditative for me. So it sort of like regulated me almost, so that when I came into the sitting, meditation was really deep. Deeper than I've been able to have in a long time. So that was nice.
Yeah.
Good thing to mix it up. I've not thought about that. And then the other thing was, you touched on compassion fatigue, which I have a lot of, and a lot of burnout, and you know, I'm really big on self-care and self-compassion and changing things up to try to do the work, come to the work in a different way, in a more restored way. But I guess, I don't know if this is a question or just throwing it out there, that have you had the experience where you come to the point where you're like, am I burnt out? Or is it time to do something else? That can be really daunting when you've spent so much time and energy to make that career happen, and doing it for 20 some odd years, and it's not, you know, the fire isn't coming back with all the self-care and all the self-compassion. It's not coming back.
Doctor?
I'm trying to be kind to myself around that, very kind, but
I'm actually really curious to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, there's a couple things coming to mind. Just in terms of sort of my own personal understanding of it for this moment is that, I'm in the midst of closing an office on the west side and moving everything over to the east side, because that is what I noted for now is what had to be done for me to have the opportunity to see if the fire is still there. So it's, and then going back to sort of the practice that Dave was leading of the integration of the metta and the wisdom is that, and the what you shared about the experience of finding a way within this context or through the walking to deepen the sitting, or it just happened that way for you, is this whole notion of there's a couple of things going on, right? It's how does this help me to restore and then be able to go back into what I do for work? And then it's also what is the quality of myself, or what it is that I'm bringing when I get to the work. And so this, this practice, I feel works towards helping both of those outcomes. And in terms of the self-care, that dedicated attempt to find out about that, use your term, the fire and the intention, is it still there? And then to be able to have the kindness and compassion to know if it isn't, then that's okay. And again, I'm having this west side, east side version of it. It's like the light version of it, but I've definitely had feelings. I've had an office on the west side for over 10 years, and so it's a change. And there were the sort of, not, I guess, somewhat egoic, my west side office kind of aspect. That was pretty easy to let go of. And then there's just sort of, where's my ground? It's wherever I am. But I got used to that, and I got used to, I had to tell clients, I'm moving, and some clients are like, I'll go where you go. Some clients are like, this is Los Angeles, and you're moving far away, and give me 3 good referrals, right? So, long way of saying that. I feel like one of the major answers to compassion fatigue is some kind of practice that deepens your experience of your understanding of your own body and your own mind. And that provides the answer to the bigger question of, do I become a lion tamer instead? The Monty Python bit. I think it was a lion tamer, right? Or do I make these adjustments to allow for me to continue?
Yeah, it's the thing about it that I've learned is most important is actually how do you sit into that question rather than just try to I need to do something drastic, right? Because compassion fatigue syndrome implies that you have a lot of compassion. So you don't want to throw that out. So that's so there's, again, it's not one way or the other. And of course, if the question is, I think I might have compassion fatigue syndrome, there's probably a good chance that you do, right? If that's in the experience. And also, too, something you've been doing this for a long time, and so, it might not be actually about a fire as much as it's about a sense of cooling down, where trying to be curious, the 3 C's I always talk about in this is being curious, being compassionate, and being creative. About okay, how can I go into this with some sort of I'm almost like it's a science experiment of can I still make, I actually still really care about this work. How can I make it work? What is he saying? The adjustments can be made. and to not get black and white around, like, do I, I always think of the Clash song, should I stay or should I go? Because when I go black, anytime I find myself in the mind state of, okay, either I'm going to do this or I'm fucking done, that's just a dangerous paradigm to operate from. Because I have a lot of trauma, so I know that when I hear the da na 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 na, I'm like, okay, this is not good. Because that's where I go to. It's like I need to try really hard and fucking make this work, or I'm just out. And I do that strategy in a lot of areas in my life, which is the nature of compassion fatigue syndrome, ironically. So I think that it's just a matter of being patient, being kind to yourself, maybe being extra kind to yourself. Whatever that looks like for you, if that means working less or having more time to just kind of, for lack of a better word, just kind of like screw around a little bit and just like not be so serious about stuff, or trying to make some little adjustments now that'll give you some oxygen. I mean, this is probably part of that, I would imagine, for you.
A colleague said to me, which was really helpful, was I'm probably working as little as I've ever worked in the last 20 years, too.
Okay.
Just really dialed it down.
Okay, that's good.
But my colleague said, I just don't feel motivated. And they were like, so what if you weren't motivated? For now.
Mm-hmm.
What if
Right.
you weren't driven by motivation and didn't have that drive? That's okay, too.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a beast within itself.
That's right.
And maybe just just being. It's not everything. It's not nothing. It's just, it is what it is.
And the irony of it might be the experience you're having is actually a quality that you're experiencing as a result of all the work I'm sure you've been doing for yourself over the years, where it's not a lack of motivation, but it's actually a sense of, maybe a deeper sense of ease, where you're not so compelled to, you're just kind of like, so, sometimes it can feel unsatisfying or whatever, but sometimes actually if we pay a little bit more attention to it, go, actually, this is like just breathing room for me now. And it's not that I'm not motivated, it's that my motivation has shifted, or maybe I'm more curious, or to kind of go into it like with, what is this space? And you might find that actually there's not a lot that you need to do. So that's...
I know when Steve had mentioned the calling, and I don't mean to take up.
No, please.
I think a lot of us who go into the field, a helping profession, do feel that calling, but then it kind of goes away. And then the drive is different. It's very different.
Change.
Yeah. I read somewhere that Mother Teresa had, like, when she felt, not that, we all maybe have qualities of Mother Teresa, but like she had the calling deeply from God, like this is what she was supposed to do, but then it went away. And she lived off the fumes of that for many, many, many years.
Yeah.
But it wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
And she wanted it to come back, and it didn't come back the way it did in the beginning. She just kept doing it because that's what she thought she was supposed to do. I thought that was really interesting. Thank you, that's really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an entire book of her letters to her mentor, basically begging God to come back and say hello again. And it never happened. And she kept on doing what she did.
A piggyback on that, a little comment. An interesting season I've been going through with my compassion fatigue is I've been very resentful at higher power that he's made me compassionate, or she's made me compassionate. It's like, I've done enough work on myself to claim, like, I know I'm good at this. I know I'm a good helper. I know I'm a good teacher. But I can get into this, why? And it's been a burden, but I have found sitting practice has really been more valuable to me than ever in these last kind of 6 to 8 months that I've been battling this. Because simple answer is reinvention, which I'm good at, and I can do that every couple months and years, and if I need to. But this is different. This is kind of some of those big existential, why did you make me this way type of questions. And I know that when I feel prayer abandons me, or that I'm not getting much connection there, you know, to use the phrase that we all throw around in this circle, taking refuge in the meditation it's been a lifeline. It's given me some answers, but it's also been able to give me some peace through not having them. It's gonna be okay. I'll survive this one way or another, and just thank you for sharing that. It's always helpful for me when I hear others kind of voice, "This sucks," whatever way it sucks for you.
One of my experiential teachers around this was my Zen teacher, or the experience of working in that kind of framework, where I would go into into the Dokusan room, the interview room, and when you would go in, he'd be sitting there in kind of, in meditation, and looked like a completely equanimous, immovable object of peace. And you would do your thing, you come up and face to face, and the eyes are open, completely present. Or again, some of this might have been theater, but it was good theater, because I was like, oh my God, I am the only being on this entire planet that he is paying attention to right now, and we're completely engaged. And then we'd have our engagement, and then he would pick up a little bell and ring it and put it down and go back into meditation. And I lived there for a year, so I just day after day experienced this. And then when I came home and started working in this kind of work again, I kind of look at it, from that perspective of, someone comes into my office and I'm not sitting there like this, because I think that would freak out most people, but I'm kind of in this state of I'm just in a state. And then I'm there, and then I'm 100%, the goal is, then I'm 100% there, and I'm in this thing. As soon as they leave, as cold as it may sound or feel at times, it's like they're gone. And so, my self-definition of compassion fatigue is when I'm not able, I find myself regularly not able to be in that thing with the container, right? Like there have been times in my life where I'm like really struggling with the rest of everything, but when I'm there, I'm there. And maybe I'm sleeping 12 hours or whatever, that it's not perfect. And then if it starts to really drift, that's where I see the drift, is where I can't do that. So if I can't make the adjustments outside to make it so that I can do that, then there's a problem for me, in terms of I have this compassion, I have this desire to be of help, and this is how one does it. So anyway, that's just another sort of experience around that. And yeah, and that's what I was seeing. Like I'd be at my West Side office, and somewhere in the middle of the session, is this on? I don't know if this go public. So in the middle of the session, I'd be kind of like, Paris, or just, Calgon, take me away. And I'm able to rally, it doesn't happen for long. But anyway.
It's so funny you say that, because I had my first experience last week with equine therapy, doing it as a person, client, whatever. And it was very, very powerful, and more than I had expected. And they were, horses, animals are very present, and super present. But when that was over, it was over. And they go into their stall and they had lunch, and and I had this feeling of like, well, wait a second. We had this thing, this amazing experience together, and it was over for them. They were off to eat and take care of themselves, and it was very like role modeling that we can have this really powerful experience in this time and space, and then you're going to go be a horse and take care of them, and they're okay. And it's like as therapists and healers and people like that, we have to do the same. It's like I have to have lunch now, I have to go to the bathroom, I have to, clients who struggle with the 50-minute hour, and it's like you try to explain to them that like, that 10 minutes is for me to transition and to eat and go to the bathroom, and I have all sorts of feelings about that. But if I don't honor that in myself, then I'm not doing what you just described.
Yeah. You want to close this out with a short sit?
Yeah, I'm trying to decide whether to make a couple of announcements before we sit or after we sit. I think I'm going to go with before. So we're coming to a close. So for those of you who have never done a half-day retreat before, congratulations. It's a cool thing to do that. And then one of the things that happened for me as I developed my sitting practice was that then I wanted to see what a full day was like, and then I wanted to see what a retreat was like. Then apparently I wanted to see what living in a monastery was like. It doesn't necessarily have to go that far. But anyway, so congratulations and thank you for coming today. A couple of things. One is that one of the sort of foundations of Buddhist practice is generosity or dana. And in this particular case, thank you for the registration fees. If you choose to add upon that some dana, all the dana today is going to go to my buddy here.
Thank you.
Dave, absolutely. So generosity to generosity, and then boom, it lands over there. It's completely optional. It's just a Buddhist tradition or a Buddhist practice. Another thing is that just about my person that I'm working with has just about worked out the final kinks in our webinar technology, and that's how I'm going to be delivering clinical Dharma classes. It'll be a series of 12 classes, and once we've made it so that we're absolutely sure that you won't hear static and see my picture get fuzzy and disappear, once that's settled, I'll open registration for that. And I'm going to continue leading these retreats with my favorite Buddhist teachers in support of the classes, in a sense. The classes are hopefully going to be helpful and with content and developing practice, and then the retreats will be the opportunity to gather together and practice. If you're not doing anything tomorrow and aren't already aware of it, Jamie Marich is a colleague and friend and a practitioner of many different things, including Dancing Mindfulness, which is a book and a practice that she has developed. And she's here from Ohio. She did not fly in for this today. She's been in town all week doing EMDR and mindfulness workshops around the LA area. But she's going to do a sample dancing mindfulness class here tomorrow at 11 o'clock, from 11 to 1.
Yeah, 11 to, well, we'll see how
One-ish.
long we feel like going.
Okay.
And it's donation based, it's just to cover the use of the space, so.
And I'll be there, and so will my wife and my kid. So if there's a kid in your
It's
life that you want to
kid-friendly.
bring, it's going to be kid friendly. Also, part of the collegial relationship I have with Jamie is Jamie has an institute, the Institute for Creative Mindfulness, which is an EMDRIA-approved provider of basic training in EMDR. And so I trained with Jamie to deliver basic training in EMDR. I am now providing basic training in EMDR. The dates, there's a flyer out there. There's two flyers. One is the save the dates for when we're doing it here in LA. The other is the general flyer about the Institute and about our training. And by Monday, the registration link will be up because I'll know where it's happening. I'm pretty sure it's going to be at Pax House Intensive Outpatient Center, which is in Altadena. So that's where our first part one in June will be happening. So that's going to be an ongoing thing because those of you who know me know that I'm obsessed with approximately 2 things besides all the other things I'm obsessed with, and that's Buddhist mindfulness and EMDR. So,
And we train the EMDR in a very mindful
yes.
way, more than a lot of the other programs do. So,
Is the culmination that you're certified at the end, or?
The culmination is that you are considered trained in EMDR.
Okay.
So once you're done with part 1, you're encouraged to start
yeah,
waving
you
your
can start
finger at
doing it
people.
right away.
Yeah,
As long as you have a clinical license or.
yes. So those of you are master's, doctoral level above, yes, well, I can answer any questions. I'm not going to run out of here quickly. And if you're not master's or a level or above, but work with people who are and might be interested in this, please let us know. And then, if you just can't get enough of Dave Smith, which is how I feel, Sunday nights, this is his spot, right? 7:30?
Sunday night, 7:30 every week, unless I'm out of town, but most weeks I'm here. And there's he had this right here.
Here.
And not
Not
Monolith. 7:30 to 9, and it's essentially a guided meditation, a talk, and sort of Q&A. So it's kind of and there's usually 20 or 30 people here, and it's a fun little way to end the weekend or kick off the week. So come and have a sit if you like, if you're close by.
I think that's it. We'll end with a very short sit, just to reground, and then any other questions, books, etc. Please don't hesitate to hit us up. The big bell for the last one.